Tupac Shakur. Abstract. Tupac Amaru Shakur, popularly known by his stage name Tupac, was an American rapper and actor. He is considered by many as one of the most significant rappers of all time. Much of Shakur's work has been noted for addressing contemporary social issues that plagued inner cities, and he is considered a symbol of resistance and activism against inequality. Shakur was born in the Manhattan borough of New York City but relocated to the San Francisco Bay Area in 1988. He later moved to Los Angeles in 1993 to further pursue his music career. By the time he released his debut album Tupacalypse Now in 1991, he had become a central figure in West Coast hip-hop, introducing social issues in the genre at a time when gangster rap was dominant in the mainstream. Shakur achieved further critical and commercial success with his follow-up albums, Strictly for My Niggaz, 1993, and the critically acclaimed Me Against the World, 1995, which has been considered as his magnum opus. In later 1995, after being convicted of molestation and becoming a victim of a robbery and shooting, Shakur became heavily involved in the growing East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry. His double-disc album All Eyes on Me, 1996, became certified diamond by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, on September 7, 1996. Shakur was shot 4 times by an unknown assailant in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. He died 6 days later and the gunman was never captured. The Notorious B.I.G., Shakur's friend turned rival, was at first considered a suspect, but was also murdered in another drive-by shooting several months later. 5 more albums have been released since his death, all of which have been certified platinum this year. Shakur is one of the best-selling music artists of all time, having sold over 75 million records worldwide. In 2002, he was inducted into the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. In 2017, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Rolling Stone named Shakur in its list of the 100 greatest artists of all time. Outside music, Shakur also gained considerable success as an actor, with his starring roles as Bishop in Juice, 1992, Lucky in Poetic Justice, 1993, where he starred alongside Janet Jackson, Ezekiel in Gridlocked, 1997, and Jake in Gang Related, 1997, all garnering praise from critics. Personal life. Tupac Amaru Shakur was born on June 16, 1971, in the East Harlem section of New York City's Manhattan borough. While born Lassane Parish Crooks, he was renamed, at age 1, after Tupac Amaru II, who was executed in Peru in 1781 after his failed revolt against Spanish rule. Shakur's mother explained, "I wanted him to have the name of revolutionary indigenous people in the world. I wanted him to know he was part of a world culture and not just from a neighborhood." Tupac had an older stepbrother, Mopreme Komani Shakur, and a half-sister, Sakiwa, 2 years his junior. His parents, Afeni Shakur born Alice Faye Williams in North Carolina, and his birth father, Billy Garland, had been active Black Panther Party members in New York in the late 1960s and early 1970s. A month before Tupac's birth, his mother Afeni was tried in New York City as part of the Panther 21 criminal trial. She was acquitted of over 150 charges, in some, conspiracy against the United States government and New York landmarks. Other family members who were further involved in the Black Panthers' Black Liberation Army were convicted of serious crimes. and imprisoned. Tupac's godfather, Elmer Geronimo Pratt, a high-ranking Panther, was convicted of murdering a schoolteacher during a 1968 robbery, although his sentence was overturned in 1982 for aiding the 1979 New Jersey prison escape of Tupac's step-aunt and godmother Assata Shakur. His stepfather Mutulu Shakur spent 4 years among the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives. Captured in 1986, Mutulu was convicted and imprisoned for the 1981 robbery of a Brinks armored truck, during which police officers and a guard were killed. In 1984, Tupac's family moved from New York City to Baltimore, Maryland. He did 8th grade at Roland Park Middle School, then 2 years at Paul Laurence Dunbar High School. On transfer to the Baltimore School for the Arts, he studied acting, poetry, jazz, and ballet. He performed in Shakespeare's plays depicting timeless themes, now seen in gang warfare. He would recalend as the Mouse King role in the Nutcracker Ballet, with his friend Dana Mouse Smith as beatbox. He won competitions as reputedly the school's best rapper. Also known for his humor, he could mix with all crowds. As a teen, he listened to musicians including Kate Bush, Culture Club, Sinead O'Connor, and U2. At Baltimore's Arts High School, Tupac befriended Jada Pinkett, who would become a subject of some of his poems after his death. She would call him one of my best friends. He was like a brother. It was beyond friendship for us. The type of relationship we had. You only get that once in a lifetime. Upon connecting with the Baltimore Young Communist League USA, Tupac dated the daughter of the director of the local chapter of the Communist Party USA. In 1988, Shakur moved to Marin City, California, a small, impoverished community, about 5 miles, 8 kilometers, north of San Francisco, in nearby Mill Valley. He attended Tamalpay High School, where he performed in several theater productions. In Tupac's adulthood he continued befriending individuals of diverse backgrounds. His friends would range from Mike Tyson and Chuck D to Jim Carrey and Alanis Morissette, who in April 1996 said that she and Tupac were planning to open a restaurant together. In April 1995, early in his prison sentence, Tupac married his then longtime girlfriend Keisha Morris. The marriage officially ended in March 1996. In the 4 months before his death, Tupac lived with his girlfriend Kidada Jones, daughter of the record producer Quincy Jones and the actress Peggy Lipton. In 1994, Tupac had spoken against interracial marriage, but retracted these comments. Kidada herself having been born through an interracial marriage, she was beside him at his death. Some of Tupac's song lyrics suggest a belief in a god, perhaps in the manner of Des Messieurs, apparently not believing in heaven and hell as typified. He perhaps believed in karma. Music career. In January 1991, Tupac, rapper, nationally debuted under the stage name Tupac. Guest on rap group Digital Underground's single, Same Song, compiled on the soundtrack of the February 1991 movie Nothing But Trouble. Tupac's first 2 solo albums, November 1991's Tupacalypse Now and February 1993's Strictly for My Niggaz, preceded September 1994's eponymous and only album of his side group Thug Life. Himself in it. Rapper, producer Stretch guests on the above 3 Tupac projects. Tupac's third solo album, March 1995's Me Against the World, features rap clique Dramacidal, reshaping as the Outlaws on Tupac's 4th solo, the 4th Tupac solo album, and last in his lifetime. February 1996 is All Eyes on Me, features also, among its numerous guests, Thug Life member Big Psych. Yet another solo album was already finished. November 1996 is The Don Killuminati. The 7 Day Theory, under the stage name Machiavelli, is a studio album made in one August week, whereas later posthumous albums are archival productions. Later posthumous albums are Are You Still Down? 1997. Greatest Hits. 1998. Still I Rise. 1999. Until the End of Time. 2001. Better Days. 2002. Loyal to the Game. 2004. Pac's Life. 2006. Tupac, using the stage name MC New York, began recording in 1989. That year, he began attending the poetry classes of Layla Steinberg. Soon, she became the budding music artist's manager. Steinberg organized with Tupac's rap group Strictly Dope a concert. She managed to get Tupac signed by Atron Gregory, manager of the rap group Digital Underground. In 1990, Gregory placed Tupac with the Underground as a roadie and backup dancer. Under the stage name Tupac, he debuted on the group's January 1991 single, Same Song, leading the group's January 1991 EP. Titled This Is an EP release, while Tupac appeared in the music video. It also went on the soundtrack of the February 1991 movie Nothing But Trouble, starring Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, Chevy Chase, and Demi Moore. Tupac's debut album, Tupacalypse Now, alluding to the 1979 film Apocalypse Now arriving in November 1991, would bear 3 singles. Some prominent rappers like Nas, Eminem, Game, and Talib Kweli cite it as an inspiration. Aside from If My Homie Calls, the singles Trapped and Brenda's Got a Baby poetically depict individual struggles under socio-economic disadvantage. But once a Texas defense attorney, with a young client who had shot a state trooper, rationalized the defendant had been listening to the album, which touches upon police brutality. Controversy ensued. U.S. Vice President Dan Quayle partially reacted. There's no reason for a record like this to be released. It has no place in our society. Tupac, finding himself misunderstood, explained, in part, I just wanted to rap about things that affected young black males. When I said that, I didn't know that I was gonna tie myself down to just take all the blunts and hits for all the young black males, to be the media's kicking post for young black males. In any case, Tupacalypse Now was certified gold. 500,000 copies sold. Altogether, Tupacalypse Now seats well with the socially conscious rap, addressing urban black concerns, still prevalent in rap at the time. Tupac's second album, Strictly for My Niggaz, arrived in February 1993, a critical and commercial advance. It debuted at number 24 on the Pop Albums chart, the Billboard 200. More hardcore overall, it emphasizes Tupac's socio-political views, and has a metallic production quality. In fact, featuring Ice Cube, the famed primary creator of NWA's Fucked Our Police, but who, in his own solo albums, had newly gone militantly political, along with LA's original gangster rapper, Ice-T, who in June 1992 had sparked controversy with his band Body Count's track Cop Killer, Heavy Metal. In fact, in its vinyl release, Side A, tracks 1 to 8, is labeled the Black Side, while Side B, tracks 9 to 16, is the Dark Side. Nonetheless, the album carries the single I Get Around, a party anthem featuring the Underground's Shock G and Money B, which would render Tupac's popular breakthrough, reaching number 11 on the pop singles chart, the Billboard Hot 100. and it carries the optimistic compassion of another hit, Keep Ya Head Up, encouraging women. This album would be certified platinum. 1 million copies sold as of 2004. Among Tupac albums, including a posthumous and compilation albums, the Strictly album would 10th in sales, about 1,366,000 copies. In late 1993, Shakur formed the group Thug Life with Tyrus Big Syke Himes Deron Makadoshi's Rivers, his stepbrother Mopreme Shakur, and Walter Rated R. Burns. Thug Life released its only album, Thug Life, Volume 1, on October 11, 1994. It went gold. It carries the single Pour Out a Little Liquor, produced by Johnny J. Jackson, who would also produce much of Shakur's album All Eyes on Me. Usually, Thug Life performed live without Tupac. The track Pour Out a Little Liquor appears also on the 1994 film Above the Rim's soundtrack, but under the heavy criticism of gangster rap at the time. The album's original version was scrapped, and the album redone with mostly new tracks. Still, along with Stretch, Tupac would perform the planned first single, Out on Bail, which was never released, at the 1994 Source Awards. Tupac's third album, arriving in March 1995 as Me Against the World, is now hailed as his magnum opus, and commonly ranks among the greatest, most influential rap albums. The album sold 240,000 copies in its first week, setting a then record for highest first-week sales for a solo male rapper. The lead single, Dear Mama, arrived in February with the B-side, Old School, the album's most successful single, it topping the Hot Rap Singles chart, and peaked at number 9 on the Pop Singles chart, the Billboard Hot 100. In July, it was certified platinum. This year it ranked number 51 on the year-end charts. The second single, So Many Tears, released in June, reached number 6 on the Hot Rap Singles chart and number 44 on Hot 100. August brought the final single, Temptations, reaching number 68 on the Hot 100, number 35 on the Hot R&B, Hip-Hop Singles and Tracks, and number 13 on the Hot Rap Singles. At the 1996 Soul Train Musica Awards, Tupac won for Best Rap Album this year in 2001. It ranked 4th among his total albums in sales, with about 3,524,567 copies sold in the U.S. While imprisoned February to October 1995, Tupac wrote only one song. He would say, rather, he took to political theorist Niccolo Machiavelli's treatise The Princeton military strategist's Sun Tzu's treatise The Art of War, and on Tupac's behalf, his wife Keisha Morris communicated to Suge Knight of Death Row Records that Tupac, in dire straits financially, needed help. His mother about to lose her house. In August, after sending $15,000 for her, Suge began visiting Tupac in prison. In one of his letters to Nina Badreshwar, recently hired editor Planned magazine, Death Row Uncut, Tupac discusses plans to start a new chapter. Eventually, music journalist Kevin Powell would say that Shakur, once released, more aggressive, seemed like a completely transformed person. Tupac's fourth album, All Eyes on Me, arrived on February 13, 1996. Of 2 discs, it basically was rap's first double album, meeting 2 of the 3 albums due in Tupac's contract with Death Row, and bore 5 singles, while perhaps marking the peak of 1990s rap. With standout production, the album has more party tracks and often a triumphant tone, as Tupac's second album to hit number 1 on both the top R&B, hip-hop albums chart and the pop albums chart. The Billboard 200 It sold 566,000 copies in its first week and was certified 5 multi-platinum in April. How Do You Want It, as well as California Love, reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 at the 1997 Soul Train Awards. It won in R&B, Soul or Rap Album of the Year at the 24th American Music Awards. Tupac won in Favorite Rap, Hip Hop Artist. The album was certified 9 multi-platinum in June 1998 and 10 in July 2014. Tupac's fifth and final studio album, The Don Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory, commonly called simply The 7-Day Theory, was released under a newer stage name, Machiavelli. This album had been created in 7 days total during August 1996. The lyrics were written and recorded in 3 days, and mixing took another 4 days. In 2005, MTV.com ranked The 7-Day Theory at number 9 among the hip-hop's greatest albums ever. And by 2006, a classic album, its singular poignance, through hurt and rage, contemplation and vendetta, resonate with many fans. But according to George Papa G. Price, Death Row Records then director of public relations, the album was meant to be underground, and was not really to come out, but after Tupac was murdered, it did come out. It peaked at number 1 on Billboard's top R&B, hip-hop albums chart and on the Billboard 200, with the second highest debut week sales total of any album that year. On June 15, 1999, it was certified 4 multi-platinum this year. Film career. Tupac's first film appearance was in 1991 in Nothing But Trouble, a cameo by the Digital Underground. Yet in 1992, he starred in Juice, where he plays the fictional Roland Bishop, a violent gang member. Rolling Stone's Peter Travers calls him the film's most magnetic figure. Then, in 1993, Tupac starred alongside Janet Jackson in John Singleton's romance film, Poetic Justice. Tupac then played another gangster, the fictional Birdie, in Above the Rue Monsieur. Soon after Tupac's death, 3 more films starring him were released: Bullet, 1996, Gridlocked, 1997, and Gang-Related, 1997. Director Alan Hughes had cast Tupac as Sharif in the 1993 film Menace to Society, but replaced him once Tupac assaulted him on set. Nonetheless, in 2013, Hughes appraises that Tupac would have outshone the other actors, because he was bigger than the movie, for the lead role in the eventual 2001 film Baby Boy, a role played by Tyrese Gibson. Director John Singleton had originally had Tupac in mind. Ultimately, the set design includes in the protagonist's bedroom a Tupac mural, and the film's score includes the Tupac song, Hail Mary. Criminal cases. In October 1991, Shakur filed a $10 million lawsuit against the Oakland Police Department for allegedly brutalizing him over jaywalking. The case was settled for about $43,000. Yet thereafter, he would be involved in a series of cases where he was accused of inflicting the harm. On August 22, 1992, in Marin City, Shakur performed outdoors at a festival. For about an hour after it, he signed autographs and posed for photos. Allegedly, once a conflict broke out, Shakur drew but dropped a legally carried Colt Mustang that someone with him then picked up while it accidentally discharged, about 100 yards, or 90 meters, away in a schoolyard. Kaid Walker Teal, a boy age 6, on his bicycle, was fatally shot in the forehead. Police matched the bullet to a .38 caliber pistol registered to Shakur, and his stepbrother Morris Howarding was arrested. but no charges were filed. Lack of witnesses stymied prosecution. In 1995, Qaid's mother filed against Shakur a wrongful death suit, settled for about $300,000 to $500,000. In October 1993, in Atlanta, Mark Whitwell and Scott Whitwell, two brothers, both police officers off duty, were out celebrating with their wives, one of whom had passed the state's bar examination. Drunk, the officers crossed the street while a passing car, carrying Shakur, allegedly almost struck the Monsieur. The Whitwells, later found to have stolen guns, argued with the car's occupants, soon joined by a second car. Ultimately, Shakur shot one officer in the buttocks and the other in the leg, back, or abdomen. Shakur was charged in the shooting. Mark Whitwell was charged with firing at Shakur's car and later lying to the investigation. Prosecutors dropped all charges against the parties. On April 5, 1993, charged with felonious assault, Shakur allegedly threw a microphone and swung the baseball bat at rapper Chauncey Wynn of the group Monsieur A.D. at a concert at Michigan State University. On September 14, 1994, Shakur pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor, and was sentenced to 30 days in jail, 20 of them suspended, and ordered to 35 hours of community service. Slated to star as Sharif in the 1993 Hughes Brothers film Menace to Society, Shakur was replaced by actor Vontae Sweet after allegedly assaulting one of the film's director, Alan Hughes. In early 1994, Shakur served 15 days in jail once found guilty of the assault. The prosecution's evidence included a Yo! MTV Raps interview where Shakur boasts that he had beat up the director of Menace to Society. In November 1993, Shakur and 3 other men were charged in New York with sexually assaulting a woman in his hotel room. Monsieur. The woman, Ayanna Jackson, alleged that after consensual oral sex in his hotel room, she returned a later day, but then was raped by him and other men there. Interviewed on the Arsenio Hall show, Shakur said he was hurt that a woman would accuse me of taking something from her. On December 1, 1994, denying that he had himself raped her, Shakur was convicted of first-degree sexual abuse, but acquitted of associated sodomy and gun charges. In February 1995, he was sentenced to 18 months to 412 years in prison by a judge who alleged an act of brutal violence against a helpless woman. On October 12, 1995, pending judicial appeal, Shakur was released from Clinton Correctional Facility. Once Suge Knight, CEO of Death Row Records, arranged for posting of his $1.4 million bond. On April 5, 1996, Shakur was sentenced to 120 days in jail for violating his release terms by failing to appear for a road cleanup job. But on June 8, his sentence was deferred via appeals pending in other cases. New York scene 1990s. In 1991, Tupac debuted on a new record label, Interscope Records, that knew little about rap music. Until that year, Ruthless Records, formed during 1986 in Los Angeles County's Compton City, had prioritized rap, and its group NWA had led gangster rap to platinum sales. But NWA's lyrics, outrageously violent and misogynist, precluded mainstream breakthrough. On the other hand, also specializing in rap, Profile Records, in New York City, had a mainstream pop breakthrough. Run DMC's Walk This Way in 1986. In April 1991, NWA disbanded via Dre's departure to, with Suge Knight, launched Death Row Records. in Los Angeles City. With its very first two albums, Death Row became the first record label both to prioritize rap and to regularly release mainstream pop hits with it. Released by Death Row in late 1992. Dre's The Chronicits, Nothing But a G-Thang, ubiquitous on pop radio, and Let Me Ride, winning a Grammy, was trailed in late 1993 by Snoop's Doggy Style gangsta rap, no less. These propelled the West Coast, for the first time, ahead of New York to rap's center stage. But meanwhile, in 1993, Andre Harrell of Uptown Records, in New York, fired his star A&R man, Sean Puff Daddy Combs, later P. Diddy, Puffy, while leaving behind his standout projects Joe Decci and Mary J. Blige to R&B act stuck to his own new record label, Bad Boy Entertainment. The promising gangster rapper Biggie Smalls, soon also known as the Notorious B.I.G., his debut album, released in late 1994 as Ready to Die, promptly returned rap's spotlight to New York. In 1988, Randy "Stretch" Walker, along with his brother, dubbed Majesty, and a friend, debuted with an EP as rap group and production team, Live Squad, in New York City's borough Queens. Tupac's early days with Digital Underground made his acquaintance with Stretch, who featured on a track of the Digital Underground's 1991 album Sons of the P. Becoming fast friends, Tupac and Stretch recorded and performed together often. Stretch as well as Live Squad contributed tracks on Tupac's first two albums. First November 1991, then February 1993. And on Tupac's side group Thug Life's only album of September 1994. The end of Tupac's and Stretch's friendship in late 1994 surprised the New York rap scene. The next Tupac album, released in March 1995, lacks Stretch, and Tupac's album after that, released in February 1996, has lines suggesting Stretch's impending death for betrayal. No objective evidence would publicly emerge to tangibly incriminate Stretch in the gun attack on Tupac, while with Stretch and two others. At about 12:30 a.m. on November 30, 1994. In any case, after a Live Squad production session for the second album of Queen's rapper Nas, Stretch's vehicle was chased while receiving fatal gunfire at about 12:30 a.m. on November 30, 1995. During 1993 and 1994, the Biggie Smalls guest verses on several singles, often R&B, like Mary J. Blige's What's the 411 remix, set high expectations for his debut album Monsieur. The perfectionism of Puffy, still forming his Bad Boy label, extended its recording to 18 months. In 1993, visiting Los Angeles, Biggie asked a local drug dealer for an introduction to Tupac, who then welcomed Biggie and Biggie's friends to Tupac's house and treated them to food, weed, and entertainment. On later visits to Los Angeles, Biggie would stay at Tupac's place, and when in New York, Tupac would go to Brooklyn and hang out with Biggie and his circle. During this period, at his own live shows, Tupac would call Biggie onto stage to rap with him and Stretch. Together, they recorded the songs Runnin' from the Police and House of Pain. Reportedly, Biggie asked Tupac to manage him, whereupon Tupac advised him that Puffy would make him a star. Yet in the meantime, Tupac's lifestyle was comparatively lavish, whereas Biggie appeared to continue wearing the same pair of boots for perhaps a year. Tupac welcomed Biggie to join his side group Thug Life. Biggie would instead form his own side group, the Junior Monsieur FIA, with his Brooklyn friends Lil Cease and Lil Kim. On Bad Boy, Despite its weird timing of Stretch's shooting death, a theory implicates gunman Ronald Ternad Washington both here and in the 2002 murder of Run DMC's Jam Master Jay Vaya. As the unverified theory speculates, Kenneth Supreme McGriff punishing the rap mentor for recording 50 Cent despite Supreme's prohibition after this young rapper's 1999 song, Ghetto Cron, had mentioned activities of the Queens drug gang Supreme T. Monsieur Supreme was a friend, rather, of Irv Gotti, co-founder of Murder Inc. Records, whose rapper Ja Rule would vie among New York rappers after the March 1997 shooting death of Biggie. Visiting Los Angeles. By some accounts, the role Birdie, played by Shakur in the 1994 film Above the Rim, had been modeled on a New York underworld tough, Jacques Haitian Jack Agnant, a manager and promoter of rappers. Reportedly, Shakur met him at a Queens nightclub, where, noticing him amid women and champagne, Shakur asked for an introduction. Reportedly, Biggie advised Tupac to avoid him, but Tupac disregarded the warning. In November 1993, in his Manhattan hotel room, Shakur received a woman's return visit. Soon, she alleged sexual assault by him and 3 other men there. His road manager Charles Fuller, aged 24, one Ricardo Brown, aged 30, and Nigel, later understood as Haitian Jack. In November 1994, Jack's case was split off and closed via misdemeanor plea without incarceration. In 2007, for shooting at someone, he would be deported. Yet in November 1994, A.J. Benzer, in the New York Daily News, reported Tupac's new disdain for Jack. Through Haitian Jack, Tupac had met James "Jimmy" Henchman Rosamond, another underworld figure formidable. Jimmy Henchman doubled as music manager. Bryce Wilson's Groove Theory was an early client. The Game as well as Gucci Mane were later clients. In 1994, a client lesser known, and signed to Uptown Records, was rapper Little Sean, friend of Biggie and Lil Cease. Eventually, Jack and Henchman would reportedly fall out, allegedly shooting at each other in Miami. And for his major drug trafficking, Henchman would be sent to prison on a life sentence. But in the early 1990s, Jack and Henchman reputedly shared interests, including a specialty of robbing and extorting music artists. Shootings of Shakur. On November 29, 1994, while in New York, Tupac was recording verses for a mixtape of Ron G. Tupac was repeatedly distracted by his beeper. It was music manager James "Jimmy" Henchman Rosamond, reportedly offering $7,000 for Tupac to stop by Quad Studios in Times Square that very night to record a verse for his client Little Sean. Tupac was leery, but, needing cash to offset steepening legal costs, took the gig. Tupac arrived with Stretch and another or two. In the lobby, 3 men initiated robbery at gunpoint, whereupon Tupac, resisting, was shot. Shakur speculated that shooting was the main motive. 3 hours after surgery, against doctors' advice, Shakur checked out of Bellevue Hospital Center. The next day, in a Manhattan courtroom bandaged in a wheelchair, he received the jury's verdict in his ongoing criminal trial for a November 1993 incident in his hotel room. Monsieur convicted of 3 counts of molestation. He was acquitted of 6 other charges, including sodomy and gun charges. In a 1995 interview with Vibe magazine, Shakur accused Sean Combs, Jimmy Henchman, and Biggie, among others, of setting up or being privy to the November 1994 robbery and shooting. Vibe alerted the names of the accused when Biggie's entourage went downstairs. Shakur was being taken out on a stretcher, giving the finger to onlookers. In March 2008, Chuck Phillips, in the Los Angeles Times, reported on an alleged audit hit on Shakur. The newspaper retracted the article since it relied partially on FBI documents later discovered forged, supplied by a man convicted of fraud. In June 2011, convicted murder Dexter Isaac, incarcerated in Brooklyn, issued a confession that he had been one of the gunmen who had robbed and shot Shakur at henchman's order. Phillips then named Isaac as one of his own. Retracted articles. Unnamed sources. Tupac became convinced that Stretch had likely been somehow privy to the impending hit. Present during its unfolding, Stretch had shown atypical tolerance for and exemption from it, Tupac felt. But Tupac accused James "Jimmy" henchman Rosamond, rather, of arranging the hit. Further, Tupac was convinced the Bad Boy record label's inner circle, especially its star rapper Christopher "Biggie" Wallace and label's boss Sean "Puffy" Combs, two who had seemed Tupac's friends, had certainly been privy. During 1995, imprisoned, impoverished, and his mother about to lose her house, Tupac had his wife Keisha Morris get word to Marion Suge Knight in Los Angeles, boss of Death Row Records. Reportedly, the mother promptly received $15,000 after an August visit to Clinton Correctional Facility in northern New York State. Suge traveled southward to New York City to join Death Row's entourage to the second annual Source Award ceremony. Already reputed for strong-arm tactics on the Los Angeles rap scene, Suge used his brief stage time mainly to belittle Sean "Puff Daddy" Combs, boss of Bad Boy Entertainment, the label then leading New York rap scene, who routinely performed with his own artists. Before closing with a brief comment of support for Tupac, Suge invited artists seeking the spotlight for themselves to join Death Row. Eventually, Puff recalled that to preempt severe retaliation from his Bad Boy orbit, he had promptly confronted Suge, whose reply that he had meant Jermaine Dupri, of Sessa Def Recordings, in Atlanta was politic enough to de-escalate the conflict. Still, among the fans, the previously diffuse rivalry between America's only two mainstream rap scenes had instantly flared already. And while in New York, Suge visited Uptown Records, where Puff, under its founder Andre Harrell, had started in the music business through an internship. Apparently without paying Uptown, Suge obtained the releases of Puff's prime Uptown recruits Joe Decci, its producer Devante Swing, and Mary J. Blige, all then signing Suge's management company. On September 24, 1995, at a party for Dupree in Atlanta at the Platinum House nightclub, a Bad Boy circle entered a heated dispute with Suge and Suge's friend Jai Hassan Jamal Big Jake Robles, a Bloods gang member and Death Row bodyguard. According to eyewitnesses, including a Fulton County sheriff working there as a nightclub bouncer, Puff had heatedly disputed with Suge inside the club. Whereas several minutes later, outside the club, it was Puff's childhood friend and own bodyguard, Anthony Wolf Jones, who had aimed a gun at Big Jake, fatally shot while entering Suge's car. The attorneys of Puff and his bodyguard both denied any involvement by their clients, while Puff added that Puff had not even been with his bodyguard that night. Over 20 years later, the case remains officially unresolved. Yet immediately and persistently, Suge blamed Puff, cementing the enmity between the two bosses, whose two record labels dominated the rap genre's two mainstream centers. In the late 1990s, Southern rap's growth into the mainstream would dispel the East-West paradigm, but in the meantime, in October 1995, violating his probation, Suge visited Tupac in prison again. Suge posted $1.4 million bond, and with appeal of his December 1994 conviction pending, Shakur returned to Los Angeles and joined Death Row. On June 4, 1996, it released the Tupac B-side, Hit 'Em Up. In this venomous tirade, the proclaimed bad boy killer threatens violent payback on all things Bad Boy Biggie, Puffy, Junior Monsieur FIA, the company, and on any in New York's rap scene, like rap duo Mobb Deep and obscure rapper Chino XL, who allegedly had commented against Shakur about the dispute. On the night of September 7, 1996, Shakur was in Las Vegas, Nevada, to celebrate his business partner Tracy Danielle Robinson's birthday and attended the Bruce Seldon vs. Mike Tyson boxing match with Suge Knight at the MGM Grand. Afterward, in its lobby, someone in their group spotted Orlando "Baby Lane" Anderson, an alleged Southside Compton Crip, whom the individual accused of having recently, in a shopping mall, tried to snatch his neck chain with Death Row Records medallion. The hotel's surveillance footage shows the ensuing assault on Anderson. Shakur soon stopped by his hotel room and then headed with Knight to his Death Row nightclub, Club 662, in a black BMW 750e sedan, part of a larger convoy. At about 11 p.m., for its loud music and lack of license plates, bicycle-mounted police stopped a car on Las Vegas Boulevard. The plates were found in the trunk, and the car was released without a ticket. At about 11:15, at a stoplight, a white, four-door, late-model Cadillac sedan pulled up to the passenger, and an arriving occupant rapidly fired at Shakur, who was struck 4 times, once in the arm, once in the thigh, and twice in the chest, one bullet entering his right lung. Shards hit Knight's head, not in the car. Shakur's bodyguard, Frank Alexander, had been tasked, he would say, to drive the car of Shakur's girlfriend, Kidada Jones. Shakur was taken to the University Medical Center of Southern Nevada, heavily sedated, put on life support, and later, to prevent involuntary reactions injurious, put under a barbiturate-induced coma, in the intensive care unit. On the afternoon of September 13, 1996, Shakur died from internal bleeding. He was pronounced dead at 4:03 p.m. The official causes of death are respiratory failure and cardiopulmonary arrest associated with multiple gunshot wounds. Shakur's body was cremated the next day. Members of the Outlaws, recalling a line in his song, Black Jesus, although uncertain of the artist's attempt at literal meaning, chose to interpret the request seriously, and, after mixing them with marijuana, smoked some of his body's ashes. In 2011, via the Freedom of Information Act, the FBI documents reveal its investigation of the Jewish Defense League for making death threats against Shakur and other rappers. In 2002, investigative journalist Chuck Phillips, after a year of work, reported in the Los Angeles Times that Anderson, a Southside Compton Crip, having been attacked by Suge and Shakur's entourage at the MGM Hotel after the boxing match, had fired the fatal gunshots, but that Las Vegas police had interviewed him only once, briefly, before his death in an unrelated shooting. Phillips's 2002 article also alleges the involvement of Christopher "Biggie" Smalls Wallace and several within New York City's criminal underworld. Both Anderson and Wallace denied involvement, while Wallace offered a confirmed alibi. Music journalist John Leland, in the New York Times, called the evidence inconclusive. Legacy and Remembrance. The online rap magazine All Hip Hop held a 2007 roundtable where, among fellow New York rappers, Cormega, citing tour experience with New York rap duo Mobb Deep, imparted a broad assessment. Biggie ran New York, Pac ran America. In 2010, writing Rolling Stone magazine's entry on Tupac Shakur at number 86 among the 100 greatest artists, New York rapper 50 Cent praised, "Every rapper who grew up in the 90s owes something to Tupac. He didn't sound like anyone who came before Hi Monsieur. Formerly About.com, while ranking him fifth among the greatest rappers. Nonetheless notes, Tupac Shakur is the most influential hip-hop artist of all time. Even in death, Tupac remains a transcendental rap figure. Yet to some, he was a father figure, who said rapper YG makes you want to be better at every level." According to music journalist Chuck Phillips, the dead artist had helped elevate rap from a crude street fad to a complex art form, setting the stage for the current global hip-hop phenomenon. Phillips writes, "The slaying silenced one of modern music's most eloquent voices, a ghetto poet whose tales of urban alienation captivated young people of all races and backgrounds, via numerous fans perceiving him, despite the questionable of his conduct, as a martyr. The downsizing of martyrdom cheapens its use," Michael Eric Dyson concedes. But Dyson adds, "Some, or even most, of that criticism can be conceded without doing damage to Tupac's martyrdom in the eyes of those disappointed by more traditional martyrs. More simply, his writings, published after his death, inspired rapper YG to return to school and get his GED. In 1997, Shakur's mother founded the Shakur Family Foundation, later renamed the Tupac Amaru Shakur Foundation, or TASF. It launched with a stated mission to provide training and support for students who aspire to enhance their creative talents. The TASF sponsors essay contests, charity events, a performing arts day camp for teenagers, and undergraduate scholarships. In June 2005, the TASF opened the Tupac Amaru Shakur Center for the Arts, or TASCA, in Stone Mountain, Georgia. FNE also narrates the documentary Tupac: Resurrection, released in November 2003, and nominated for Best Documentary at the 2005 Academy Awards. Meanwhile, with Forbes ranking Tupac Shakur at 10th among top-earning dead celebrities in 2002, Afeni Shakur launched Machiavelli-branded clothing in 2003. In late 1997, the University of California, Berkeley, offered the course History 98 Poetry and History of Tupac Shakur, a course led by a student. Yet in April 2003, Harvard University co-sponsored the symposium, All Eyes on Me, Tupac Shakur and the Search for the Modern Folk Hero. The papers presented cover his ranging influence from entertainment to sociology, calling him a thug nigger intellectual, an organic intellectual. English scholar Mark Antony Neal assessed his death as leaving a leadership void amongst hip-hop artists, as this walking contradiction helps. Neal explained, make being an intellectual accessible to ordinary people. Tracing Tupac's mythical status, Murray Foreman discussed him as OG, or ostensibly gone, with fans. Using digital mediums, resurrecting Tupac as an ethereal life force. Music scholar Emmett Price, calling him a black folk hero, traced his persona to black American folklore's tricksters, which, after abolition, evolved into the urban bad man. Yet in Tupac's terrible sense of urgency, Price identified instead a quest to unify mind, body, and spirit. In 2005, Death Row released, on DVD, Tupac, Live at the House of Blues, his final recorded live performance, an event on July 4, 1996. In August 2006, Tupac Shakur Legacy, an interactive biography by Jamal Joseph, arrived with previously unpublished family photographs, intimate stories, and over 20 detachable copies of his handwritten song lyrics, contracts, scripts, poetry, and other papers. In 2006, the Tupac album Pac's Life was released and, like the previous, was among the recording industry's most popular releases. In 2008, his estate made about $15 million. In 2014, Bet explains that his confounding mixture of ladies' man, thug, revolutionary and poet has forever altered our perception of what a rapper should look like, sound like and act like. In 50 Cent, Ja Rule, Lil Wayne, newcomers like Freddie Gibbs and even his friend-turned-rival Biggie, it's easy to see that Pac is the most copied MC of all time. There are murals bearing his likeness in New York, Brazil, Sierra Leone, Bulgaria and countless other places. He even has statues in Atlanta and Germany. Quite simply, no other rapper has captured the world's attention the way Tupac did and still does. On April 15, 2012, at the Coachella Music Festival, rappers Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre joined a Tupac hologram, and, as a partly virtual trio, performed the Tupac songs, Hail Mary, and two of America's Most Wanted. There were talks of a tour, but Dre refused. Meanwhile, the Greatest Hits album, released in 1998, and which in 2000 had left the pop albums chart, the Billboard 200, returned to the chart and reached number 129. While also other Tupac albums and singles drew sales gains. And in early 2015, the Grammy Museum opened an exhibition dedicated to Tupac Shakur. In 2008, the play Holla If Ya Hear Me, based on Tupac lyrics, played on Broadway, but, among Broadway's worst-selling musicals in recent years, ran only 6 weeks. In development since 2013, a Tupac biopic, All Eyes on Me, began filming in Atlanta in December 2015, and was released on June 16, 2017. In concept Tupac Shakur's 46th birthday, albeit to generally negative reviews. In August 2019, a docuseries directed by Alan Hughes, Outlaw, The Saga of Afeni and Tupac Shakur, was announced. In 2003, MTV's viewers voted Tupac the greatest MC. In 2005, on Vibe magazine's online message boards, a user asked others for the top 10 best of all time. Vibe staff, then, sorting out, averaging and spending a lot of energy, found Tupac coming in at first. In 2006, MTV staff placed him second. In 2012, The Source magazine ranked him 5th among all-time lyricists. In 2010, Rolling Stone placed him at number 86 among the 100 greatest artists. In 2007, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's definitive 200 albums choice is irking some otherwise placed All Eyes on Me at number 90 and Me Against the World at number 170. In 2009, drawing praise, the Vatican added Changes, a 1998 posthumous track, to its online playlist on June 23, 2010. The Library of Congress sent Dear Mama to the National Recording Registry, the third rap song, after a Grandmaster Flash and a Public Enemy, ever to arrive there. In 2002, Tupac Shakur was inducted into the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. 2 years later, cable television's music network VH1 held its first ever hip-hop honors, where the honorees were, it says, Tupac, Run DMC, DJ Hollywood, Kool Herc, KRS-One, Public Enemy, Rocksteady Crew, Sugar Hill Gang. On December 30, 2016, In his first year of eligibility, Tupac was nominated, and on the following April 7 was among 5 inductees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Filmography. Shakur's life has been explored in several documentaries, each trying to capture the many different events during his short lifetime. Most notably the Academy Award-nominated Tupac: Resurrection, released in 2003.